How you doing, YouTubers? This is Steve here. What we have here is a Uberti. It's a 1866 Yellowboy. It's a 38 special caliber. And today, what I'm going to do is show you how to disassemble the breech area right there, so you can take it apart and clean it, and lubricate it, and then put it back together. Before we proceed, I'm going to show you that there are no there's no ammunition in the bore. I don't know if you can see that very well, but anyway, it is empty. So we shall proceed with the disassembly once I relocate the camera. Okay, before we proceed with the disassembly, I'm going to explain a couple things. The way the lever works is there's two springs right under these two screws, and the spring comes across the top and puts pressure on top of the lever so that it keeps the lever in place, and when you pull it down to cock it, you can feel the tension on it. So the first thing we're going to do is loosen these two screws up. We're not going to take them out, we're just going to loosen them, and then once we loosen them, that will take the pressure off the lever, and then we can go ahead and take this screw out, which is for the lever, and this screw out, which goes to the back plate. So I'm going to go ahead and start by doing that, and then we'll proceed from there. So the first thing we'll do is one other thing. On the screwdrivers, make sure you use a good screwdriver. Don't use a cheap one. These are made for firearms. They've got the taper on them, and then they flatten out so that when you do insert them in the screw, they are flat. This one's a little bit small. I'm going to change it to the proper size of the screw. So this one right here should fill the bill. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these two screws up right here. Now these are snug, and depending on if your firearm has ever been taken apart or disassembled, it might be difficult to loosen them up, but once you start loosening them, they should come right out. I've already taken this apart before, so it's not too bad. Alright, so we're going to do the bottom one. Loosen the top one up, took the tension off the screw itself, and we're going to do the same with the bottom. Now, one thing you want to be careful about when you're doing this is you don't want to bugger the screws up either, like I almost did there. But okay, so that one there has the tension off of it. Next we're going to do is change the screwdriver end to a wider blade, and we're going to take the screw out for the lever, and that's pretty straightforward. You just screw it out, basically. So that's it, and it might be a little bit to come out, but there it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it back in place just briefly, if I can do that. Okay. Alright. Now this screw right here, this screw is for the back plate, so when I take the screw out completely, the back plate is going to loosen up, and I should have access to the internal parts on the breech. So we're going to take this screw out here, and we're going to set it aside, and we're going to do the same with this one right here. Now, it's not a big deal taking this out. Alright, the plate has got a taper on this end right here, so when you take it out, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is tapered. So, and the way I normally do this is I'll put this plate on the one side, and I'll take the other plate on the other side and put it over here, and that way, let me back this out a little bit, that way there, when you take the parts out of the breech area, you can keep them on the same side they belong. So this part right here belongs over here, and on the other side we got another one that belongs on this side, so I'm going to show you that. But before we go any further, I'm going to put the screw back in, and we'll continue to take these screws out. Well, actually what we need to do, we'll just leave them in for a minute, and I'll show you how the action works on this. When you pull down on it, the let's see if you can see it. When you pull down on it, the lever actuates the mechanism, and it pulls the ejector shell component back. The shell comes out, and then when you push it back in, also you can see the lift for the shell comes up, and when you push it back in, it goes down. Now, the purpose of the springs is to keep tension on this, so seeing that we've already explained that, we're going to go ahead and just disassemble this. Now, springs come out pretty easy. There's not a big deal about them. So there's the one, and you can see there's a little tab on the end of it, and that little tab right there is what actually rests on top of the lever. So they're like that. They're opposite of each other. So this is going to be going over here with this because it belongs on this side, and we're going to loosen the bottom screw same way. Alright, so that one's loosened up also, and it fell out. So if you look at them, you'll see basically that's what they look like together on opposite sides. So we'll put this one here back where it belongs. This one's going on this other plate. That'll take care of that. Now, the mechanism, the actuator itself just comes right straight up. It's not a big deal. And that's pretty much it right there. You can see it. Now, if you look on the other side, you'll see a little groove right there. Well, that groove right here is for this pin on the lever. So that pin fits into this groove, and that's what actually causes the actuation for this to slide back, forward and back. So when I take the other side off, you'll be able to see it. So this will be going on this side here, and then we're going to turn the rifle over, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We'll nope, it already fell out, so we don't have to do anything. So there's the other one, and same thing. It's got the little slot in it right here for the pin to fit in. So that'll be going over here. Now the lever itself, let's bring this back over. It's got the pin for the actuator, so we're just going to take that out and put it right in the middle here. And then the only thing remaining to do is take the screw back out. And we'll set this in the center. I forgot to take these other two small screws out. We don't want to lose those. So this one will go on this side, and this one will go on this side. Now, the way this lever comes out is it just comes down, but you sort of bring it at an angle. And the reason you want to do that is because there is a little notch right here in this area here, and this notch is what you have to allow for when you put it back in or take it out. So that's pretty much it with that. We're going to set that right here, and then the next thing you're going to be dealing with is the lever that raises the shell gate, that right there. Alright, that just basically comes up and comes out. And that's all there is to that. Now when you look at it, that's it. This fits in the slot, and when I take the lift gate out for the shell, I'll show you how that fits in there. Alright, so we're done with that. We're going to slide this. Let's see if we can do that. We'll slide that back out of the way. Maybe. Okay. Alright. This is your lift gate for your shell. As you can see, the shell, the back end of the shell goes in through here. There's a stop there. Actually, this is the stop right here for the shell. If you look at that, that's what stops the shell, and then the shell stops there and rests, and then when this goes up, it goes up, and then the shell gets pushed into the chamber. So this is the side view right here. Of course, there's the back view. Now, if you'll notice, there is a serial number on it, and that's the serial number that corresponds with the rifle. And the serial number on this one here is 594. So that's pretty much all there is to it. There's not a whole lot, and I've already lubricated everything up, so you know when you take it apart, you can inspect everything, and if anything looks not right or loose, then you probably need to get it checked by a gunsmith, or If a part is worn, you know, if you can get a part for it, you can order it. This raffle right here is a 1968 version, and like I said, it's a 38 special. From what I understand, this part is no longer available. I'm not sure about that. I haven't really looked to see if there was anything out there for it, but that's and it's a little finicky. The way the shell goes in, and the way this area here is canted a little bit, that keeps the other shell from coming up inside here when this starts to go up. So it sort of pushes it back in, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So we'll go over the reassembly process, and that'll do it. Alright, we're going to start the reassembly process. What I did was after with this being out, I went ahead and slid the ejector action back out of the way so we can deal with it a little easier. So the first thing we're going to do is put this back in. Make sure we have it in the right direction. This side here goes on the side where the loading gate is for the shells. So make sure you've got that right, and it's towards the rear. And that's pretty much it with that. So we're going to slide that back in, like so. And the next step, and I'm pushing it up a little bit, the next step is to put the lift gate in, or the lifting arm in, and that goes in like so. And if you get it right when you put it in, it should fit right in place like that. Alright, so now when that goes up and down, the arm will move with it. Alright, now that that's complete, the next step is going to be to put in the lever. And as I explained to you earlier, that lever it's got a notch on it, so when you put it in on an angle, and then just roll it up like so. And it's supposed to go right in. But anyway, there it is. It's in place right now. So that's complete. We're going to go ahead and put the pin in there just to hold it in place right now temporarily. Alright, now we'll go ahead and slide the ejector rod back into place so that we can go ahead and put the other components on. Now the next step is to go ahead and put the action, or the pin in right here for the that goes on the lever, and of course that will actuate the arm. So just turn this over and slide it on in place. Now there's a pin on the other side you got to be careful about, or else it's going to come out, but we'll look at that in a second. Alright, there we go. So that's in place. That's all there is to that. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to hold this in place, and of course we're going to take the other arm, and same thing, it goes in the way you see it right there, just like that. Pin on the one end and the pin on the other end, and of course it fits right into place like that. So that's pretty straightforward. Now the next step is we're going to put the plate on. We've got everything in place right now. We'll put the back plate on and hold it in place, and we're going to flip the rifle over, and then we'll go ahead and pull the bolt out for the lever, and then we'll reinsert it with the other plate in place. So I'm sorry, I got the wrong side. So this one goes in here like so, and notice when I put it in, it goes down at an angle. You don't want to slide it in, and it locks in place like that. Now we're going to turn the rifle over. We're going to hold that in place with our right hand. We're going to take this screw back out, and then we're going to do the same thing with this. Let me back up. The next step is to go ahead and put the springs back in. I forgot about that, so we can't do anything until we do that. So let's go ahead and put that screw back in place. So let's just take this back off again, and we're going to go ahead and put the spring in. So the way the spring is in is pretty straightforward. Best way to do it is hold it out at an angle like this, take the screw, and you're going to have to work to find the hole on it, but once you find it and get it started, it should go right into place without any problem. So I think I'm on it right now. So These can be a little aggravating sometimes to get them in. Alright, we're having a little difficulty here, but bear with me. I don't know why it won't catch. I know what the problem is. I think I'm going to slide it down a little lower. Place. Okay, I believe I got it caught. I'm going to screwdriver on it just a little bit just to see if it'll tighten up. If it does, we got it. But we don't, but we're working on it. So, alright, I got it caught, so I can feel the tension on it right now. So, alright, that tab is a little bit sticking out right here, so we'll just snug this up just a little bit. Alright, that takes care of that side. Let's go back to the other side. Again, you got to be careful about the parts coming out, but it's not a big deal because they just fit right into place, like so. Not that difficult to deal with. That's a nice thing about working on this rifle too. It's real easy to disassemble actually when you do it. Alright, so we're just going to lay that down like that. Now we'll take the spring from this side, same thing. We'll hold it in place and then go ahead and put the screw in. Now, hopefully this one will go a little bit better, and it did. Okay, so that's in place. So now the tab right here is sticking up a little bit. It's not flush with the plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it in. I'm going to take a screwdriver and just push up on it and then down to get it in place. Alright, so now it's flush. Okay. Alright, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to put in our plate to hold everything in place on this side, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to check everything on this side, make sure we're good. Alright, the plate's still in place. So now we're going to take this screw back out and we're going to put this plate in. Now again, when you put these plates in, they're at an angle on the front to lock it in place, so you want to make sure you do that right. If you don't, it won't fit properly. Okay, so we're not getting a good fit for some reason. Oh, see, the other thing is that spring's got to be pushed over, so I'm going to do that and push that in place. Okay, you heard a click, so it's in. So we're good on that. So we just take that plate, put it in place, and then we're going to put the lever screw back in just to hold it there. Now that we've got that completed, we're going to hold the back side of the rifle, take this screw and put it in and screw it down. Once we get it lined up, it can be aggravating sometimes. Alright, so that screw, I got to change this blade. Okay, that screw right there is caught, so we're going to snug it up. Careful about boogering up the brass. Okay, so it's snug. It doesn't have to be really, really, really tight. I mean, just hold the plate in place. Okay, now that that's complete, we can go ahead and screw the lever screw down. And that's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to tighten it up real tight yet. I'm just going to snug it just to, because I haven't got the right end on there. Okay, so we're done with that. Now let's go back to our two screws right here and we're going to snug them up because they're already ready to go. So just a matter of tightening them down. Now when you tighten these screws up, you know, when they fetch up, like right now it's fetched up, just give it maybe a little bit more of a turn. You don't have to tighten it till it's breaks. I mean, you gotta be careful with these. Same thing with this one right here. Just snug it up until it fetches up, and then once it fetches up, just give it a little tweak. You don't have to get crazy with it because you'll break them, or you'll booger up the ends of the screw, like I almost did before. So a little bit more to go, and we're almost there. Alright, that one's tightened up. Now we got left to do is just tighten up the screw for the lever arm, and we are good. So that's pretty much it. Now we're going to work the action, so you'll see that everything is working the way it's supposed to. You can see the let's see if we can see. Alright, right there. Alright, the action's working, and we're going to pull the trigger, and you're good to go. Now if you'll notice, the lever comes up right here. You see that comes up, so you know that's working properly, and when you push in, it goes back down. So you know everything's working the way it's supposed to. Alright, that's all there is to it. Enjoy shooting your firearm, and like I say, this is for disassembly purposes to clean it. It's not intended to be anything related to being a gunsmith or anything like that, so just so you'll know. Have a good evening.